Bro, that is so old.
Really?
Yes. The
Oh,
ladies
I don't
at
know those.
church, the
I don't
ladies
know
at
those. I
church,
don't know those old school thing.
the ladies at church.
Well, maybe John Buffone should just go to football games and let me handle this because he's 2 for 2 this season in games that he's attended. It's a nice Bears win, but we also have to pump the brakes. We're not going to the Super Bowl. It's not going to happen. Danny Shimon, start with you as always. Your overall impressions of this football game.
Yeah, my overall impression, what cemented it for me was that John Buffon is the lucky rabbit's foot for the Chicago Bears team. He's got to be at every single game for them to win these games. But yeah, I mean, it was a game. Although you and I, we were at a at an event last night, and I said that if they don't beat the Raiders at home,
That's
this
right.
Josh McDaniels coach team with Brian Hoyer quarterback, I mean, it'll be organizational, like failure, and it'll be an embarrassment. So they came out, tipped the hat to them. They got the victory. In terms of Tyson Bagent, his performance, I think he was out there, just did basically what a backup quarterback does, is get you through a game. Well, I'm sure we'll touch on Tyson later on in the game, but defensively they were able to, for the most part, they didn't really bring a lot of extra pressure, a lot of blitz. There were some in the second half where you saw a little more blitzes called up there by Eberflus, but for the most part, they shut down the Raiders' rushing attack. We talked about at halftime, the safeties were playing up near the line of scrimmage, daring Brian Hoyer to beat them. He couldn't do it. And then the Bears got a couple turnovers. Obviously, Jalen Johnson, very interesting celebration post interception there. I think that was a message to the front office there. But we'll get into that. I'm sure we'll get into that later on as well. But yeah, turnovers, 3 turnovers, no turnovers by the Bears offense. So you win the turnover game. Time of possession was critical. The Bears ate up a chunk of the second half by running the football, which is something that Coach T and I have been on here praising and just asking for, just run the football. Why this game plan was different with Bagent in there as opposed to Justin Fields. That's a question that I want to ask Luke Getz. This is something you could also use this same game plan when Justin Fields is in there. And he's a bigger threat in terms of what he could do with his legs and other things with his arms as well, passing the ball vertically. Build your passing game off of the rushing attack. And this is what we've been asking for. And we finally get it with Bagent in there. But when Fields is in there, we it's here hit or miss. So It's a victory. They should have won this game. They did win this game. But like you said, Aldo, let's pump the brakes in terms of, let's promoting anything in terms of, playoff contention and all that stuff.
Coach, I got to put you on the spot because Danny predicted a victory last night. I got it on video. I actually showed it on the Barfly Tailgate show this morning. You, however, predicted 24-13 Raiders. Tyson Bagent, 13 out of 25, 1 rushing touchdown and 2 interceptions. What happened with your prediction? But I want to state it more precisely. What was the cause for this victory as opposed to what you expected?
It was what I said on the pregame show. The keys to actually winning the game was running the ball, right? So I said, as a head coach, right, when you have a struggling offensive coordinator, just like with any job, right? Any job we've been on, right? You go in with your subordinates and say, I'm going to give you some milestones to hit, right? So I want you to run the ball 30 times. 15 of those plays need to be from under center. 10 to 15 plays need to be play action passes. You know what I'm saying? I want you to get so many carries with your wide receivers or some personnel other than your running back, right? It's all of that. It's all of that. You have to give some milestones from the hit. You kind of got to begin the micromanaging process, still empower your junior coaches, but give them some milestones to hit, right? So that's the reason why I predicted the stat line I did, because I didn't believe Luke Getsy would step outside of himself and actually do it. So yet and still, he did. So shout out to Luke. He called the game that I didn't expect him to do. Like, if we were betting men, right, we would bet Luke Getsy would call this game plan, the sort of game plan that he did. Who would say that he would actually carry through with it? I certainly would. I don't know about you guys, but he actually pulled it off. He simplified the game plan. He ran the ball over 30 times. So Deontay Foreman, 16 carries. Darrington Evans, 14 carries. Tyson had 3. Tyler Scott had 2. Right. So although I had a different stat line, it's because I didn't expect him to actually simplify the game plan. He actually went against the grain, and he actually carried out a game plan that I actually would have called. So shout out to him for carrying it out.
These are the numbers exactly for Tyson: 21 out of 29, 162 yards. He really didn't.
I wasn't offer much on the yardage, though.
Yeah, you weren't at all. He really didn't attempt to pass. In the fourth quarter, I think he attempted maybe 1 or 2 passes. He had 1 touchdown pass. He rushed the ball for 3 times for 24 yards. He was sacked just once. And of course, this was his first career stat. So I'm going to stay with you, Coach T. The 1 sack, do you think that this was more that the offensive line played better, or do you think that it was a combination of Bagent getting rid of the ball quickly and kind of adhering to that Luke Getsy style of get rid of the ball quickly, the West Coast offense, or what?
So think about this, right? Anybody that played or coached the game, especially when you play offensive line, when you're coming off the ball as an offensive lineman 30 plus times a game, and you actually attacking your opponent 30 plus times a game versus sitting back in pass pro and catching and letting the guy beat the hell out of you for 30 or 40 plus times a game, you're going to respond different. It's going to be a different style of game to you. Your testosterone gets going. Your adrenaline gets going because you're giving it to the man, right? You're giving it to the opponent. And that's exactly what's going on here. The 1 sack, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to have sacks in football. That's part of football, right? We didn't have an exuberant number of sacks because we ran the ball so much. There's less opportunity. So statistically, the chances go down that you're going to have less sacks. But you got to get this offensive line going. The same offensive line that led the league in rushing last year. I know Justin Fields' stats were part of those rushing yards, but this offensive line, when they have an attacking style offensive line, they're not bad. Now, consider the fact that if we had actually had Nate Davis in there, maybe for Cody Whitehair, and we still call the same game plan, we still have the offensive line coming off the ball. You can do more, right? So, you know what I'm saying, to the smart asses in the comments and the comment section, I would say this, right? When a real defense that's really good, when they walk up the safeties and they start playing within 15 yards of the line of scrimmage, what do we expect our offense to do then, right? We got to be able to go over the safety's head. And I want to make this comment too. They ended the half piss poor, low class, and not recognizing the reading the room and understanding what they were doing. They ended the game again and robbed this kid of an opportunity, man. I don't understand this coaching staff. This cat cannot put it on the line for y'all, and y'all don't read the room and recognize the moment. He put the whole game on the line, and you don't let the kid take the knee in the victory formation, man. It's small stuff like that that drives me nuts as a football coach.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
That's like they didn't let the kid take the knee.
Let him celebrate.
Like that may seem like a small thing, but Danny knows that's a football no. You don't do that to a kid, man.
Right. Yeah. Let him do the kneel down. Let him walk off the football field with the
Get his round of applause from the audience, from the stadium. Yeah. Let him have his moment.
They're just, I don't get it. I don't understand the staff. Like the first half. Sorry, Aldo, I don't mean to jump in here, but the first half was a disaster in terms of the timeouts usage, letting the play, the clock run down, and then you pulled him for Peterman to throw out the Hail Mary. Why? Are you trying to tell us that he doesn't have the arm strength to get it down the football field? Then if that's the case, next week when the Chargers are watching this game tape, they're going to say, all right, Tyson Bagent, we're going to stack the box on you guys. You can't run the ball on us. You try and beat us now down the field. And if you can't do that, then how are you going to, be successful? I just, again, I'm not going to rain on Tyson Bagent's day. Kid out of, Division II guy comes up, gets his first career victory. Hats off to the kid. Didn't do anything spectacular that makes me say, hey, this guy is the future of the Bears quarterback position. But he's a guy that intrigued me going into this football game. There's things that I seen from this kid that I did want to watch and play. And then today, again, the calmness, the stage is not too big for him, the energy he brought to that huddle, the ability to go ahead and get the ball out of his hands quickly. That's the thing right now that he has that separates him from Justin. But again, an inability to throw the ball down a football field. They did not try and beat this Raiders team vertically. My thing is, if you run the same game plan with Justin Fields, week in and week out, I think you win more games overall. So, but again, I think we'll get into that later on, but I just want to say, I'm not trying to rain on this parade, hats off to the kid. And they had a bunch of people there today, did what he did, but
I want to catch that. I want to catch the back end of that.
He is the future at the position.
I want to catch the back end of that because people will push back to Danny, what Jenny just said about you probably, if you run the same game plan, you will probably win more games with Justin. But dive into that. How? When strategically, when the safeties walk, when the defensive coordinator walks his safeties within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage because you've been gutting them to death via the run, you have a guy that can throw the ball over the safeties of the corner's head. You can threaten the deep outer thirds and the deep middle third of the field. That's the why of it, because I don't want anybody to ever feel like we just pulling shit out of our ass, right, when we say stuff. No, there's a reason why. You got to be able to hit all quadrants of the field in certain situations. So you call the same game plan, and then you have the ability to threaten the deep outer thirds and middle third of the field, then it's nothing that a team can do with you then.
And if they can build, say Tyson gets 2 more starts, right? And if they can build a vertical attack with him, and I was sitting thinking about this, halfway through the game, I'm like, all right, I mean, this
would be dangerous.
Great for the Bears because you can go into next season with Fields and Bagent as your 2 quarterbacks and let the best man win, right?
Yeah.
Let the best man win a competition. You don't have to now dive into another quarterback with the top 5 pick. You can build building blocks around either quarterback, and let's not play the Cal Williams game. Let's not play the Drake May game or any other quarterback. You want to draft a quarterback mid round, fine. It's going to be a deep draft in terms of, guys in the second, day 2 of this draft. Pick one there if you want for another guy, just to get another shot at it. But I think if we can see Tyson kind of grow here with a vertical attacking ability, to what he's done now with the quick game in terms of getting the ball out of his hands quickly. Remember, he said during the week that this is the same kind of system he ran over at Shepherd. Obviously, he had time with Luke for a week there at the Senior Bowl, so he's comfortable in the system. He understands the system. So that's the thing is I'm like, damn, if this guy could be an option, they can come in, he can actually compete and go toe for toe with Justin for the starting job next year. That's awesome because now you can take those 2 top picks and you can build and draft and get building blocks for this team.
Coach, I'd like to ask you about the running game. Here are the stats for Deontay Foreman, who was clearly the star of the run game. 16 carries, 88 yards, 3 receptions, 31 yards, a total of 3 touchdowns, 2 of them rushing, 1 of them receiving. In fact, let me show you that video. I think I got that video somewhere. This is Tyson Bagent's first career passing touchdown, and the reception is by Foreman.
Bagent's got to be sharp here. 3rd and goal.
Bagent with time, throws it short. Foreman with the catch. Foreman to the end zone for the touchdown. And the first career touchdown pass for Tyson Bagent.
Coach, evaluate Foreman's performance today. I already saw on people critical of the Bears organization for having this guy stashed away. But I merely see a team with great running back depth. It's not like they should have benched Rashawn Johnson in favor of Foreman or Khalil Herbert in favor of Foreman. You have depth because you need depth in this league. But please, Coach, tell me about his performance.
So think back to a week ago, right? When we said employ this game plan a week ago, Why did we say that? Because you got a guy on the practice squad and you got a guy off the streets to come in the week of to play the Minnesota game. So why not run this game plan? Why is the guy sitting on the practice squad? It's not because he can't run the ball. I'm saying, I've said this so much, I'm tired of saying it. But guess what? I can get a kid out of Florida, Georgia, or Texas right now that's a 4 or 5 star that could run the ball behind the NFL line. What separates them is their ability to learn the playbook and pick up pass pro. So watch this. Don't ask a kid to do what he's not good at doing. If he's good at running the ball, run the ball with him. They had limited amount of times that they had to have him in pass pro because he ran the ball so much. How you combat that is you go 12 personnel, you use your tight ends to block instead of your running backs, throw the ball out of 12 personnel and run the ball out of 11 personnel or higher. And people that's on Twitter talking about, oh, it wasn't a totally different game plan. If you don't believe it was a totally game plan, you don't know ball. 12 and 13 personnel versus 11 personnel, multiple tight end sets, ran the ball over 30 times a game. They took the pressure off of this guy to not do what he's not good at. He just let him be a running back and run the ball. Same thing with Darrynton Evans. He's not a pass pro guy. So they just ran the ball with him. And now, watch this. Regardless of the number of games it takes for Justin to come back, if you employ this game plan, and like Danny said, watch this. You don't have to even complete it. You don't even have to complete it. Threaten the deep thirds. Threaten the middle deep third. You don't have to complete the pass, but let the defensive coordinator know you'll throw it back there, and it still would create the same nervousness that, you know what I'm saying, you can hit for a big play. So that's what he did. They called the game suitable to the kid's talent, and he had a great day. 3 touchdowns, 2 on the ground. Probably went crazy for somebody's fantasy points. I don't play fantasy football, but somebody got paid off of him today.
For sure. Danny, your overall evaluation of the running game, because Evans had a good game too. In fact, he would have had a lot more yards if Larry Borum didn't screw up 2 plays and get penalties.
Him and Jenkins on that fourth quarter is one as well. So, but yeah, I mean,
Right,
to me, it's a talented depth provided running back room. I like the combination of, or going into the season, I like the combination of Herbert with his ability and to kind of be better in that wide zone, inside zone running ability, kind of his vision and his ability to plant and cut up field is I think is better than Foreman. I think Foreman's more of a downhill thumper, a power guy. That guy, we saw a lot of the I formation, a lot of toss sweeps I tweeted out. Foreman with a lead blocker is pretty to watch because he's a tough guy to bring down. I think that would kind of, him and Herbert, I think really kind of complement each other. And I didn't really we never got an explanation in terms of why Roschon Johnson jumped or leaped over, D'Anto Foreman in preseason. Obviously, I think Johnson had a couple of big runs and some bigger plays, but I don't think Foreman really got that much of an opportunity. Anyway, long story short, the fact that Foreman is a downhill thumper, I think that really does a nice job here of complementing Khalil Herbert once he gets back. So once Herbert's back, and even once Johnson is injured, is back healthy, I don't know how Johnson is in terms of special teams. I know Homer gets the game day nod because of his ability on special teams, but I wouldn't mind seeing maybe Homer get put on the inactive list and get Johnson some action on special teams as well. But I think Foreman and Herbert, when he's healthy, I think that's a nice combination. And Darrynton Evans too. He's a guy that was here last year, had some moments there, and they plucked him off 2 weeks ago off the Miami practice squad, and he ran hard. He's a not a big physical guy like Foreman, but he's a guy that also is hard to tackle. Good contact balance, contact power. So I think they have a good running attack, and that's the thing is like. I tweeted out again. I've been saying this before. The Bears' identity on offense is they are a running team. That's it. Luke Getsy, do not get it mixed up. You're a running team. Build your offense, your passing game off of the rushing attack. Whether it's Justin or whether it's Tyson, this should be the game plan you go on week in and week out. They held the ball for 34 minutes, guys. It was 34 minutes to 25 minutes. Now I understand it's Brian Hoyer at quarterback for the Raiders, and the Raiders defense isn't the greatest, but again. That's the game plan. You hold on to the football. Gave your defense, who's not the greatest, give them an opportunity to kind of, stay off the football field. And then, Eberflus, be timely with your pressure disguises and your blitzes and get off on third downs. I know you have a bend but don't break defense. So get off on third downs, limit the scoring opportunities, and just build offensively, build that game around, run the rushing attack. And I think you can be successful. But we don't see this consistently. And I just don't get it. It's a winning formula. When we see it, it works, but then it goes away for whatever reason. So,
and we look like we need Prozac. But Aldo, I want to say this. This is why me and Danny made such a big effing deal about opening the game last week with empty formation. That's why it was such a big deal to us, because you're sending a message to the defensive coordinator and like, hey, this is how we're going to play today. No, we want to line up, be able to point to the damn hole that we're running through with our offensive lineman and tell the defense, okay, you know where we come and stop it. That's the type of ball we want to play. Here's the other part of that. We got how many more days of good weather in the city we have, right? The style of play fits the city. It fits the culture. So why not play that way? You know what I'm saying? We've been
asking that question since the Nagy days.
Yeah, let's that fits the city. Play ball that way. We want to see running backs running over linebackers and safeties. That's the style of play. And then when it gets 20 below on Soldier Field on the lake, that style of play will hold up. Guess what? That style of play will hold up when you go to the playoffs, because you run the ball, stop the run, and play good defense in the playoffs.
Outstanding stuff. Okay, let's talk about the passing game from the receiver's standpoint. DJ Moore was the leading receiver for the Chicago Bears. He had 9 targets, 8 receptions for 54 yards. The one miss was a sure touchdown if he would have held on to that one-handed catch attempt. It was such a beautiful attempt by both quarterback and receiver, but it just didn't work out. Bagent did throw to 9 different receivers. 8 of them caught passes. Travis Owen that didn't connect of the 9 that were targeted. Danny, overall, how would you evaluate the overall play of DJ Moore and this wide receiver team?
Yeah, selfishly for my fantasy team, I could have taken that touchdown, DJ. You shouldn't have dropped that ball, man. But that was a good ball placement by Bagent. Again, it was an area where DJ was the one making the play on the ball. Should have had a touchdown. But yeah, I mean, I think overall, what I saw differently today, it was a quick game. Was the ability for Bagent to get the ball out of his hands quickly into the hands of DJ Moore, allow him to do his thing out there on one-on-one and outside. So I don't know why that's not there with Justin. I'm not sure if Justin's just not comfortable getting rid of the ball that quickly, or if he's got to get a hold of the laces. It didn't look like Tyson was at all looking for the laces, just grabbed it and got rid of it. So I think that's something they added here. But I want to see now, or next week at least, expand this now. I continue the emphasis on the run, but expand. Let's get some more downfield passes, because you're going to have to do this. You're going to have to prove to other teams that you can challenge them down the football field, and that's where I think DJ can come in there and hopefully get some more yardage. But yeah, I mean the targets and the completions were fine, but they're all short. Within what, 5 or 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. I'm curious to see what's the longest pass play that they actually in terms of yards attempt that Bagent threw. I don't think he threw anything over 10 or 15 yards if I'm not mistaken.
The longest completion was 17.
But did it go? I think that was
it wasn't 17 through the air. It was Deontay.
Like air yardage.
It was Foreman. It was a run. The longest after that was 15 to DJ Moore.
We can't hear you, Aldo. I think you're not on mute, but we can't hear you. We can't hear you,
but I'll pick up on what Danny said about the passing game. Listen, I'm not taking anything away from the kid. The kid played great, over 70% passing completion percentage. Good quarterback, passing completion rates around 60, 65. Good. You start getting into, hey, you're doing some things above 65, heading into the 70 range. So it's there, and the receiving core. They did their thing. You know what I'm saying? DJ's going to get his yak. So all you got to do is get the ball in his hands in those situations. But I would like to see, and Darnell had, more touches than he normally has. I like the fact, again, we got the ball in the hand of Darnell and Tyler Scott on something other than a pass play. That make you feel like you're in the game, feel a part of what's going on, the game plan in the team. But Danny said something critical right here about the deep ball. With DJ Moore being the primary receiver and his threat because of the yak, with speedsters like Darnell Mooney and Tyler Scott, there's opportunities for you to get deep shots off of play action. Again, this is why it's critical for us to run the ball, because those guys can get down the field in a hurry. And if somebody jumps a short route for DJ, you can go over the head. So if you have like a hitch post combo, a hitch deep out post corner combo, those can hit for big plays. So that's my kind of synopsis of the passing game. They did great, but there's opportunities out there. And to get Bajan over the 200-yard mark in the 250, 275, 300 range, those are the passes that might be missing.
Yeah, and the one great throw I had, if he had Bajan, was, I believe in the first quarter, it was a second or third down where it was to Tyler Scott over the middle. It was a backside read. It was like a second or third read, and I like the fact that he kind of maneuvered his arm angle, kind of did like a sidearm sling, threw it to a spot and allowed Tyler Scott to go ahead and run and make the catch. That shows an ability to to find the passing lane, passing window, go through the progression, and also throw it to a spot and throw your receivers open. So like that was, I think, his best throw of the day, other than the the accuracy in terms of the ball placement to the would have been touchdown for DJ Moore. So there were some throws out there that I think he made. The one that he was rolling out to his right and throw a nice a ball down the sidelines to DJ Moore. I think that was another good throw there for Bajan. So the kid's got the ability to throw the football. Now I just want to see him. Obviously, I think also a couple times we saw even Sanchez on the broadcast call that he also was a little too quick to leave the pocket. There was a one time he kind of rolled right into a almost sack there by Tyree Wilson, but was able to get rid of the football. So a little bit more patience in the pocket. But again, the offensive line today, I think, struggled, but I think Bajan's ability to get rid of the football quickly, limited the in terms of sacks that the Raiders got. I think only got 1 or 2 sacks on the game. So I think 2 sacks. So thank you. So I think that helped there. Getting the ball out of your hands quickly was really were critical there in terms of avoiding some of those sacks. But yeah, I mean, there are some again. I do not want to rain the kid's parade. The kid, hats off to him. And I agree with you, Coach. That was a BS move, in my opinion, not letting him finish that game, take that knee, and then walk off the football field with that ball, and the crowd giving him the the love and all that stuff for getting that first victory. So let's see it develop. Let's see it go to the next level. Now, if you do, I'm going to love the fact that we have 2 guys that can come in next year and compete for the job, and we can just avoid all this quarterback talk for the draft.
Indeed. 2 sacks for the Raiders. One for Max Crosby. He now has 6.5 for the season. He's among the league leaders. And the very first sack of his young career, Tyree Wilson. I'm glad that he got his first sack because I love the player so much. Had to be against the Bears, but it was a losing effort by the Raiders. Let's talk about the Bears defense before we go to the head coach, who we should be getting to in about 5-10 minutes or so. So let's get some of this defensive talk out of the way. I really was impressed with the Bears defense on third down. They came into this week ranked 30th in third down, allowing third down conversions to their opponent. And that's a little misleading because the last week or two, they've actually gotten pretty good at third down conversions, but they were so bad early in the season. And today there were 2 out of 9 on third down conversions. Coach T, can you kind of do a diagnostic on why they were so efficient today against on third down against the Raiders?
Yeah, I mentioned something that I don't think anybody will ever probably associate with good defensive play, right? And that's their snap count and their ability. Again, the amount of time they were sitting on the bench and not having heavy legs in this game, it allows you to pay attention to the details and focus in on critical downs and situations like that. It allows you to be that one half a step ahead of the opponent when you're rested, focused defense. That's the first part. And again, I think with this particular time, against this particular opponent going in, what you're dealing with. They were kind of dealing with 2 quarterbacks at the same time on both sides of the ball or both sides of the sideline, right? You could sit on some stuff underneath that they were going to try and dink and dunk you to death, that Brian Hoyer wasn't going to challenge you too much deep. So shout out to Coach Eberflus because he made it hard for him by creating deep zones underneath and make Brian Hoyer have to find the holes up in there and made it hard for him. And like Danny says, finding those ways to timely time up the blitzes, decide when you're going to send people, decide when you're not going to send people, disguise the blitzes, send corners, send safeties. I saw players in positions you don't normally see them in some of our defensive, some of our games early in the year. You see kind of Jaquan Brisker split out wide, guarding somebody manned up, you know what I'm saying, different places and stuff like that. I think he did a good job of mixing it up. And then, adding that extra man to the rush to create somewhat of some pressure for this quarterback to make life hard on him.
Danny, I was super impressed with the play of the defensive backs today. Yeah, they make mistakes. You've been saying now on social media and on our shows here that Tyreek Stevenson gets too aggressive. He's going to have to learn some of the finer techniques of playing the cornerback position in the NFL, so he's not flagged as often. But let's talk about him first before we talk about Jalen Johnson's great game. What are you seeing in Tyreek Stevenson that he's made an improvement on over the season?
Well, in terms of the one thing with Stevenson is like his confidence is right there. You need that as an NFL corner. You got to have the what they call it amnesia. Just forget about the previous play and just come back. And I love the kid's feistiness. I love his aggressive approach to the football game. But the one thing where he struggles right now, obviously, I don't think he has the lateral agility to stay with quicker receivers. Now, Devontae Adams is one of the best in the league, and he made him look silly on that one play where he dropped the touchdown pass. I mean, Adams just had his, Stevenson just was stuck there and couldn't move, and Adams was open. But anyway, so that's Devontae Adams. That's a special case. But the thing with Stevenson is like he's got to turn back and look for the ball. Even Jalen Johnson was called for that PI. If you look back and you turn your head and look for the ball, even if you get a little aggressive, a little touchy down the football field, the refs will not, call a penalty on you. That's the one thing that they got to preach to each other. Just turn your head, and they will give you, the refs will give you a little break there if you get a little touchy and feely. So that's the one thing he's got to do. In terms of the other secondary guys, I think Kyle Gordon, I liked him coming off as a blitzer from a nickel position. Guys, what happened to Greg Stroman? He had a great game against Washington, and we haven't seen him the last two games. Why not? Why don't we see this kid out there playing? I mean, you can't find a role for him. I mean, like I've always been preaching that I think Kyle Gordon's an outside corner. Why can't we see some of that? Gordon outside, see Stroman as inside nickel. Mix and match things up. I mean, if the guy's making plays for you, you got to find a way to get him on the football field. So those are a couple of things that I had in terms of overall other aspects of the defense. Although I think the second strong game for Tremaine Edmonds. Obviously, he had the pick off the tip, but I think again, you see Edmonds' ability now. We're seeing it now, I should say, in pass coverage, being a guy that can be a little deterrent there. The blitzes weren't as prevalent as we've seen versus Washington and some of the other games, but he's got to get better in terms of Eberflus, that is, calling him at precise times and getting some pressure. The guy that I gotta, again, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Andrew Billings is a guy that I really didn't think it was a huge signing. That I thought it was just a backup guy, but he's really made an effort and really done a decent job of not only as a run guy in a first, second downs, but getting after the quarterback when he's given the opportunity. And another guy that I kind of popped today, I don't think he made any things in terms of impact on the stat sheet, but Zach Pickens, the third round pick defensive lineman, I saw him today. A couple times there was a couple holding calls I thought that should have been called on the offensive lineman that was blocking Pickens. I think he's getting better there as well. So I can see that those guys kind of pick up the next slab there as well. But unfortunately, they're still not consistent with their front four in terms of providing pressure. Once the Bears get a front four that's consistent in terms of getting pressure, that's when we'll see this defense take the next step up and becoming coming into that top 15, top 10 type of category. But again, be aggressive if you're Eberflus. But be disguisive in terms of when how you disguise your coverages or your blitzes, and then be timely with your blitzes as well.
Coach, Jalen Johnson, 2 interceptions today, one for a touchdown and a second one. I am so happy for this guy. He even talked about it on his Score Sports radio show that he says he's subject to being traded to. Nobody is safe in a team that has traded away Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn and so forth. I think he made a huge case today to not only secure a big contract at the end of this year, but hopefully stay a Chicago Bear. Your thoughts on JJ?
I'm probably going to be in a minority on this one, only because yeah, he needed the picks, but the timing, the timing and the type of picks, it matters, right? So the second pick was up, you know what I'm saying, was try a deep ball, try a floater that he caught. It was pretty much a punt return. So that one, I'll have to give him more credit for the first one, right? But I tweeted this right when it happened. After it happens, I would pump my brakes on all this. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy for the kid. He got some on the board because he plays hard, and his pass breakup rate is what makes him a good corner. It's his fundamental coverage skills is what makes him a good corner. He hasn't had the numbers, the interception numbers, to warrant that big contract that everybody, you know what I'm saying, been discussing. He's probably going to get, if he gets it, he's probably going to be a 10 to 12 million a year type of guy, right? But when you start putting him up against the top corners in the league, that's going to struggle. So it's going to probably be up to Jalen and what kind of money he's demanding to see if he sticks with the team or not. I think he's a good cornerback. I'm glad he got the interceptions, but I'm just not ready to go over the end and say, hey, it secures his future in Chicago, because the same way you say that could also mean, hey, this is actually made his stock go up a little bit because teams have already been calling about him too. So this may push him over the edge in some of their eyes and give him that it might have been a whatever round Danny before, but now they really to bump it up around the two to get Jalen around or so to get Jalen on their team. I'm a little bit more conservative on that. I'm happy for the kid. I'm not willing to say that he's safe, all the way safe, for this team yet.
Danny, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Jalen.
And I think Jalen Johnson made a point today in terms of the post interception celebrations, looking in the camera, and that was one where he did the whole dollar thing. And I think that was just a message to the front office. He took off his helmet, looked at during the camera, and said, "Pay me." I think that was his message to him, saying, "Pay me." But unfortunately, I don't think they're going to pay him. I think if there is an offer, and coach, and from what I think, I think they won't get anything higher than a 3rd round pick for him if they do trade him. No team's going to give anything of a 2nd or 1st round pick for a guy who doesn't really have a lot of career interceptions, who has some injuries in the past, and is going to be a pending free agent. So, is it worth trading a 3rd round pick for him, or getting him, getting a 3rd round pick for him? Where you can just maybe he'll leave as free agent, and you can get that compensatory pick as well. We'll see.
Sorry, guys. Matt Eberflus is at the podium. It's not great audio. I'll see what I can do behind the scenes, but let's listen in.
Again, a really good day. The one word that stands out to me is complementary football. And that's really what it was all about. We wanted to come into the game and run the ball, and we did a really nice job of that, controlling the game that way, and also being able to stop the run. And I thought that was really good by the offensive and defensive line. When you can own the line of scrimmage like that, I think that's always a big positive. And then the other part of that being up front is that, protecting the quarterback. That's a huge thing that we have to do, give him time. And then also on defensive line, affecting the quarterback with our rush or our pressure, whatever that might be. So that was excellent there. And then obviously the ball being +3 today gives you a high percentage to win. And we, capitalized that after we got that on the short field there. With Maine, we end up scoring a touchdown there, which is great. Obviously, when you score on defense, that's also a good percentage for winning too. But that was good. Great to see Jalen Johnson get a couple picks, multiple picks in his first time. That was cool to see that. Overall, just 14 points off the turnovers, and that was excellent. And complimentary football all around. Talk about Tyson. Like we've talked about all week, there was poise, there was pocket presence. He did get some pressures sometimes, and he did evade the rush and deliver the ball down the field, which I thought he did a really nice job of distributing the ball to the skill. And that was really good to see. Multiple receivers and all those things, but that was good. And then Deontay Foreman did a nice job of running the ball. Evans did a nice job running the ball. Those guys did a really good job. And our hats off to Chris Morgan. Chris Morgan did a really good job of setting up those runs, during the course of the week, and did a really good job in terms of, the protection. When you're dealing with a rusher like that, I think we did a solid job of that, disrupting his timing and his pass rush. All-pro player, and you certainly got to be able to take care of that guy. And I thought we did a solid job of that during the course of the day. But with that, I'll open up to questions.
Decision to put Nathan Peterman in for that last second Hail Mary. What was that?
Yeah, I mean, Nate's got a big arm, a real big arm, and that was really outside of our normal time to do that in terms of field position. So we just put him back there.
Now with Tyson, how did he do with just the overall operation, keeping things organized, keeping everybody where they should be? His first start ever.
Yeah, I thought he did really well. He did really well in terms of the operation. Getting the play call in and out. Sometimes because of the situation, it could be the gain that you just had or whatever. The shot clock for the play caller is going down. It's at 23 and it stops at 15, and he's got to be able to rip the call in there. And if it's a longer call, then he's got to get the call out, and you got to get to the line of scrimmage, before you get a delay. And I thought he did a nice job of that. Getting the playoff, in a timely fashion all day, and he did a nice job.
So I asked you last week about what your identity was. You said you wanted it to be a team that scored a lot of points. Well, 30 points is a pretty good number to score. You ran the ball 38 times for about $1.75, give or take. Is that going to be your identity moving forward, running the ball? And if so, will it be the identity moving forward for the rest of the year, even if and when Justin comes back? Yeah,
I think there's multiple ways to win, but we believe in running the ball. We really do, because of where we live, where we play football here in Chicago, and I think that's an important part of it. And stopping the run is also very, very important to us. So that's always going to be something that we want to do. Now, you don't have to do it every game, but it's something that's good for us.
From a game planning standpoint, what went into trying to make sure that Tyson was in the best position to be able to manage the game and not put the entire game on his shoulders per se?
Yeah, just that's a great question, and really that was the whole thing we wanted it to do. We want him to have good rhythm, timing, good protection. Don't let 98 wreck the game. So that was all of our keys to victory were there. And then distribute the ball to the skill. And then when you were able to run the ball the way we were, then they're able to, they have to come up and crowd the line of scrimmage. So put some good advantageous pass positions for us offensively. So overall, it was really good by the whole group.
Did that factor into the decision in the series right at the end of the first half to not choose to bang the timeouts and say, if it runs out, it runs out?
Yeah, that was right on the cusp, So we're at 50. It was at 53. Typically you can get a playoff within 13 seconds, get up on a line and do that. We're okay there. But it took more time. The guys got lined up. It took too long.
I mean, before that, right? Before the third down, before you convert the third down play to not go timeout after the first or second.
Yeah, that's above our number. Yeah.
And we haven't, when we talked to you Friday, you said you were going to keep monitoring Justin, double back on Monday. Physically, how is he 2 days later? And what's the challenge for you going forward in terms of managing that as a head coach, where you have a quarterback who filled in and did not look too far out of his comfort zone?
Yeah, so with Justin, we'll see where he is tomorrow. He's going to visit with the doctors. I know his spirits are great. I know he's done a great job during the course of the week, and he did an awesome job today working with Tyson, on the sideline and talking to him before the game, going through the first 15, all the way through. So, but in terms of his health, where he is, all that, we'll know more tomorrow.
Tyreek Stevenson had several big snaps against Devontae Adams and several big moments. How would you evaluate how he did going against Adams?
He did well. Tyreek is a young corner, so he's going to continue to grow. This matchup was obviously a big matchup. He wasn't matched on the whole time, but he was some. And again, he'll learn from that. He's going to play against a lot of really good receivers this year. And the important part of a rookie is just to keep learning. Take that, put it in your file, and learn, for the next time you play that particular player, because it's all about the one-on-ones and all about the matchups out there. So, and you got to be able to have a short-term memory out there. So that's important. That's what was so great about Jalen. Jalen ended up getting the DPI at the, on that goal ball versus number 11. And he just, went on to the next play, just moved forward to the next play. He knows fundamentally what he can do better and end up getting those couple picks.
Today is just so far off of what you had planned going into the season. When you have backups in there, you have guys out of position. Why did it work?
Lucas was at center. That we like that. He was back there healthy. We like that. And then putting Tevin back over to where he played last year, I think that's very comfortable for him. And then having Cody back at his spot, at left spot. So you got a lot of experience, in the middle part of your offensive line there. I mean, just look at the total reps of being at right guard, center, and then left guard. there's some familiarity there for those guys and comfort level. So that's what I think most of it was. But again, the coaches did a heck of a job, and those players did a really good job. It's not easy to move around. And again, you guys know we moved around a lot. So you guys did a good job.
Around what's the impression on you about who he is as a guy and then as a player?
Yeah, I mean, I would really, for him, his ability to stay positive, because when he was down, and then we activated him up, he was the same guy all the time, and that was pretty cool. He was doing show team stuff, and this guy was a heck of a back, and we just at the time we're heavy at back at the halfback position. So, and again, he took it in stride, and he knew his opportunity was going to come. Last week, he wanted to perform better, and today he did. So I think he's got to start stacking performances and keeping that positive can-do attitude like he did.
The DPI on 2nd and 25. What was the explanation you got? And you seem pretty hot about it for the next couple of minutes. What were you trying to tell the officials?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you agree and you disagree, right? And we rarely agree to disagree, but I think that it's that situation. They called what they called, and when you get them in 2nd and 25, we had just pressured on the play before because everybody thinks you're going to play coverage there, and so we got them in a good situation, and then you end up giving them a new set of downs. That's why my lid came off a little bit.
Just what happens healthy? Is there any question who your starting quarterback is?
Yeah, Justin's our starting quarterback. I mean, Tyson's the backup, came in, did a nice job, and then we don't know where Justin is. We'll see where it is. We don't know if it's a week-to-week thing, and we'll assess it more tomorrow.
There were certain elements of the offense today where it felt like you were able to unlock it, maybe not that way the first 6 weeks. Why do you think that is? Like screen games, third downs today, he passed the ball to 7 different receivers. Why did that happen today versus the first 6 weeks?
Yeah, I just think it was all guys working together. The operation was nice. They did a nice job and distributed the ball to the skill. Let the skill run and let him move. And I thought we did a good job of that today.
How do you evaluate how Tyson did specifically with timing throws and anticipation throws?
Good. Yeah, I thought he did a nice job. Those speed outs, the one that he hit to, DJ at the end and that big third down, that was nice. That was good. And really the ability to evade and then also throw the ball. I think he did a nice job, nice accurate passes there too.
What happened to Brisker on the 220?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I know he got hit, and I don't know where it is. I don't have the answer for you right now. But it's a legal pick because you are allowed that. It was within 1 yard, so you're allowed to come down and pick and do the rub. So again, we know have a couple ways to handle that defensively, and that's what it was.
Was it concussion related or was it?
Coach, and they had 39. They stopped. They held them to 39 yards rushing. Talk to me about what's going on there. The last couple of games have been really improving on a regular basis. It's just to finally get to know each other. What's the difference? It looks like a different defense now than at the beginning of the year.
Well, we had some guys injured in the beginning of the year, and we had some secondary issues going forward, and now we got guys back. So I think it's just continuity. They got me calling it, and their continuity there. I think that's important. And then we're aggressive. Not only aggressive with the calls, we're aggressive with the techniques. And you want to play that aggressive style. So but the guys it takes all of us. Right? It takes all of us, and it's important that we play together, and play with good fundamentals and good technique, and that's the players. And they're doing a really good job of improving every single week in the technique and fundamentals.
Was Brisker's injury concussion related, or was it a bodily injury?
It is. I don't know yet. I don't know. I know he was hit right here. I don't know where it is right now. Andre has not given me any updates yet, so I'll know more tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, that is head coach Matt Eberflus. Coach T, you were texting Danny and I in the private chat saying complimentary football. Take it away.
Yeah, man, it's something you don't think about, right? You don't think about the impact offenses have on the defenses by going multiple three and outs, the time of possession a team takes, and the time they spend on the field. Some things you don't think about sometimes as a fan is a offensive lineman sitting back and catching defensive linemen and blitzers for 35 and 40 plays a game week after week. You know what I'm saying? That stuff takes a toll on your account.
Coach, I hate to interrupt you, but Bajent is at the podium. Let's see what he's got to say.
Me, give me a lot of support this week, which I think gave me all the confidence in the world to go do what we did today.
Were you nervous today?
Yeah.
Was there a point at which you weren't anymore? Were you kind of?
Yeah, I feel like I settled in after the first snap. Really, I feel like I feel really nervous the whole week until we get on the field for pregame, and then it usually goes away. But just like any week, there was some nerves.
Tyson, I asked you last week. I said, if you're moving forward, if you're a QB1, how confident were you leading this team to victory? You looked me dead in the face and said, "I'm very confident." Where did that come from, and what did you do today to fill up to do that?
I feel like I've played like a million games at quarterback. I feel like I was able to win the job in high school my sophomore year, and then I started every game through my senior year of college. So that's 7 years of starting, understanding what the week of preparation looks like, and going through pretty much every concept and run concept that there is. So repetition, mother of all learners, and I've been blessed to have a lot of repetitions in my life. So.
How much did the physical running game help you?
Yeah, it's just like any game. If the big boys on offense and defense, I thought, played extremely well today. Anytime that you're able to do that, it makes things easier for everybody. So I thought they did an outstanding job today.
On the touchdown pass to Deontay, can you just walk us through that play? And obviously it's nothing fancy, but what you saw and how that play unfolded for you.
Yeah, I guess in a sense we're running snag. So check the flat, had Cole on the snag route, had a corner out by Moon, just kind of high-low in the corner. He gave enough depth where really he was kind of in the middle. I could have probably thrown it to either him or Mooney, but it was enough space. And, focal point this week was, get the ball out of your hands. So it was easy, just especially how he was playing today, get it to him, let him break a tackle, which he did. And that was kind of the extent of it.
How do you describe what Deontay meant today to the entirety of the day?
Yeah, I thought Deontay played out of his mind today. I thought he played extremely well, kind of little glimpse of some things that he was able to do last year. I know he's itching to get out there and, have a good game just because, like he told us in the locker room, a lot of watching for him this season so far. So it was only a matter of time for he was able to break out and have a good day like today.
You talk about getting the ball out of your hands quickly. Several times you avoided negative plays getting the ball. I think one of the best decisions was you dirted the screen pass when it wasn't open. How much of a focus do you put on that in terms of avoiding the negative plays just to keep moving on to the next play?
Yeah, I feel like that's a staple of how I've always tried to play quarterback, just getting the ball out of your hands, and then just try to combine that with just making really good decisions. I think I got away with in college a lot of times getting the ball out of your hands, but also forcing some things just because I was, had that freedom to do so. I think at this level, we're valuing the ball, trying to be +2 in that section like Coach Blues preaches to us every week. So I just kind of had that in the back of my head all week, like, hey, if it's not there, play the next play, end every drive with a kick, which we were able to do today.
So what did it do for you? What did it mean to you to have all of these parts of the game that you don't control go your way? The offensive line holds up, the defense plays really well, Foreman plays well.
Yeah, I think it means a lot to a lot of people. I think we've been looking for a win here at Soldier Field for a while. So it means, it basically means the world to everyone else when you're able to play well in the trenches, when you're able to control the line of scrimmage, run the ball well, and, stop the other team's run game. I thought it was an outstanding team effort today.
Your first drive in the third quarter, you guys take a lot of time off the clock, march down and score. What did that do for the sideline? This is a team that hadn't been great at protecting leads, and all of a sudden you build on it and you take a lot of time off.
Yeah, I think it's hard to start fast in the second half when you have such a controlling first half. So I think, that was just another one of the focal points. Don't let this be a comeback story at the end of the day. I thought Coach Getsy at halftime, on the whiteboard, able to dial up some outstanding plays that we were looking forward to running in the second half. And I thought we were able to execute a lot of those. I thought the screen was perfect. I thought, still running the ball effectively, getting the ball out of our hands, and taking our shots downfield when we can. So I thought, he dialed up some amazing stuff today.
Remember one or two plays from that drive that he scribbled down?
Yeah, that screen is one of them. The screen is definitely one of them that stands out, and I think that we couldn't have executed that any better. So able to come that, it's been on the call sheet for a couple of weeks. So for him to have the confidence in, me, the O-line, everybody to execute, kind of a high-risk play when you're throwing the ball back across the field. I thought it was great.
Patrick was celebrating after that screen.
Yeah, he'd been waiting for that play to be called, yeah.
before the half, the guys had the shot at the Hail Mary. It had been about a 60-yard heat to the end zone. They chose to go with Nate. You think you can get it to the end zone from there about 60?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've got a cannon. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. I think that there was, we're playing in the Windy City. I had one this week that came off my hand a little funny, but, never want to get it twisted. Nate's got a very powerful arm as well. But I like to think that I've got an extremely strong arm, and the ball most definitely would have got there. But it would so with Nate too. So I had obviously no problem there.
The quarterback sneak, and I think it was the first quarter. What was the strategy on that instead of going straight over the middle, like you were trying to avoid Crosby?
Yeah, I think not necessarily Crosby, although I think our whole game plan was kind of centered around where he was on the field. It was just one of those things where we ran a lot of Q sneaks this year. So being able to sneak it in the B gap, just because they want to take it, they want to take the A gaps away, be able to take a slide step to the right or left, depending on which one looks better, was kind of something we talked about really before the game. Just be ready to execute the Q sneak in the B gap, other than the A gap.
How anxious does this make you want to get back out there again?
Yeah, I think winning is contagious. So we get a little bit of a break early this week to enjoy this, but just really making it a focal point to the staff and the players. Let's get back on the horse. Let's get ready. We're playing another good team coming up this week. So 17 weeks in this regular season, so not really a whole lot of time to sit back and enjoy this, and ready. Obviously, when you win, everybody's a little bit more excited to get back out there.
And your first NFL start as a rookie, I mean, that's like a dream realized. Are you able to process that yet, or is it still a little too fresh from just playing?
Yeah. I mean, I've got where I come from, I got a bunch of friends, a bunch of family that understood how big this was, just in life. Not a lot of people get to say they started an NFL game, let alone win an NFL game. So definitely had a lot of those conversations today. I think the staff understood it too, and the players. That's why, everybody rallied behind me, as well as they did. So I was able to take it in with a handful of different conversations I had throughout the week. And yeah.
How was Justin in his role supporting you today?
I couldn't really ask much more from, him, the QB room, as a whole. I think, Justin and Nate, when I talk about people that rallied back behind me and had my back and helped me throughout the week with just, different things to look at, just with the amount of experience that they have, Justin and Nate were pivotal in, how we were able to execute today and the way I played today on the field.
You talked Wednesday about beating the odds to get this opportunity. What do you think you played with? You have that bravado that everyone talks about, the confidence that you have in the locker room. How do you think that benefited you today? That confidence you played with?
I think that football gives me the ability to let loose. I don't know how loud I would be in my life if I didn't have football, just in general. It kind of gives me that alleyway to scream and shout, and it helps me out, and I hope it definitely infiltrates the minds of the people I have around me and kind of gives them that same feeling, whatever it is, that they can also be that part on the team. And whenever you could be excited and just be happy that you're able to play football, and everybody plays like it, you get kind of what happened today.
How big of a crowd did you have here for yourself personally, family and friends? How many people came down with you?
A lot. Yeah. My paycheck probably won't look the same this week. So I had a lot of people. Yeah.
What do you do tonight now? Obviously, a lot of people in town.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I've never really been away from home my whole life. So I don't, this is new for me, not being able to see my friends and family like I usually am able to. So I'm gonna relax and just, enjoy the time that I'm able to spend with them tonight.
Where's your confidence level now? Going into your second week as a starter, where's your confidence level now?
The same. I don't think, you can't, shouldn't allow for your confidence to, rise or drop, win or lose. You just kind of, play the next play, as a lot of people like to say. And that's what I look forward to doing this next coming week. It was amazing. I mean, Soldier Field is off the chain today. You couldn't ask for a better weather day. I thought the crowd got involved right when they needed to. And I thought that helped our defense, continue to be as dominant as they have been the last couple of weeks, and kind of gave the offense, a confidence boost with the, chunk plays and the excitement that was, all around Soldier Field today.
All right. Thank you very much, Tyson Bagent, his first NFL start. And is a victory. So who wants to start first? Coach T, you're nodding. Your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, it's nothing that anybody hasn't already said. I mean, the kid has it. I think the words I would use different, right? My wife likes this term because she's a former singer. Is the it factor, right? The ism, if you will, right? You can tell the kid has it, right? Nothing phases him, and you like that. You like that as a coach or any kid. You want a kid that's confidence. The fact that he can, he verbalized it that, hey, I got a cannon, right? He didn't mix words right there and say, hey, I got a cannon. I can throw that ball, right? You don't want anybody to shy from it. And sometimes, you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes that's a good thing. It prevents you from overthinking. And I made the kind of joke in the chat that, these quarterbacks together, if you put them together, you mesh them together, they're a dude. And like Danny said, it might be the best thing for this franchise for these guys to sit together and compete and perhaps glean off each other, learn from each other, right? And that only, the outcome of that is only the outcome of that is the best thing for the Chicago franchise becomes when you compete with that. Because a lot of times you don't hear about that. You hear about all these, guys inheriting jobs and stuff like that because, they went to this prestigious school or whatnot. So, I don't think it's a bad thing for them to compete and glean off each other and have that good friendly competition. But yeah, how could you not like the kid? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Danny, your thoughts, please.
Yeah, I mean the kid's growing on me more and more. I mean, I do like him. I mean, he's a guy that you like the bravado he plays with on the field, like the energy he plays with on the field. Talk about some of the physical skill set that we talked about coming into this game is he's a better than advertised athlete. We saw some of that, his ability to kind of get away from pressure, use his legs. He picked up a first down, got 12 yards on that scramble there, got a first down. So he's a guy that could be, he won't be the dual threat like Justin is, but he's a guy that can give you some of that options as well. My question now is like, how do you build off of this game, right? This was obviously it is more of a game manager kind of a game plan. Just don't turn the ball over, make the quick throws, get the ball out of your hands, don't get killed out there, don't make mistakes. And I think now, going into week 2, can we build off of that? Can we see some more plays down the field? He says he's got a cannon. I love that confidence. Well, but why doesn't the coaching staff have confidence in him in terms of getting the ball down the football field? So that's what I want to see. I want to see expand this game now a little bit. Not saying, go ahead and have him throw 55 passes next week, but let's just, build off. Again, they keep saying this. It's like a broken record. Build off of this running attack, and now let's use some of this as athletic ability. Get out of the pocket, avoid pressure. Get the ball down the football field. Let's get. I like the fact he gets all his receivers in the play, and he's a guy that doesn't look like he locks into his primary target. He's a guy that will go through his progression and get other guys involved. So, I like the game plan in terms of the 12 personnel. I called for it on the Before 55 show is put 2 tight ends in there and just make sure one's always lined up next to the tackle and the side in which Max Crosby was on. And for the most part, that happened today and that worked. So let's continue building off that game plan. But the kid really, he just, when you listen to him, not only, like I said, on the field, but off the field, he gets it. He understands. He's not a guy that's coming out here and talking all this crazy smack and, gives credit to his coaches, gives credit to his offensive line, his teammates, to Justin and to Nate Peterman in terms of preparing him for the game. So, all these things are all positives. And like I said, halfway through the game, I said, this could be a really good thing for this organization because they can just bypass this whole quarterback class this year and just continue to build building blocks, having Justin and this kid compete for the job next year. Again, he's got a long way to go. I'm not saying he's going to come in here and take over the job or take over, compete and be the starter, but let's see what he can do. Let's see what he can bring to the game, continue developing him, and let's not put him out there to the Wolves and let him get, sacked 7 times next week versus the Chargers. So, it's a good start. It's a win. But again, it's the Raiders. It was Brian Hoyer. It was Josh McDaniels with some of his weird ass decisions too. But it's a positive step in the right direction. Let's see the kid now, mature, and let's see him build off of this.
I got a hypothesis that I'd like you guys to comment on. I think that there's a really good chance that Justin Fields improved today.
Yeah.
To see how this offense, this Luke Getsy offense is run, because clearly this was Exhibit A or Exhibit Z, because we got a lot of exhibits, but this was an exhibit of how Luke wants the offense to run in the passing game. And so Justin sitting there, there was that great shot of them sitting shoulder to shoulder and talking and smiling and so forth. And then Tyson says after the game that he couldn't have asked for more support from Justin and the quarterback room and them talking to one another. I got a feeling that Justin saw the successes that Tyson had on the football field and is saying to himself, I can fucking do this. I can do this. Coach T, what do you think?
The only pushback I would say is, or I'll put it this way, I asked in the form of a question. Was it a Luke Getsy offense? Because you heard Coach Eberflus give credit to Simo, which he's never done in a pressure before.
Good point.
That I can remember, right? He's never given credit to Simo, which leads me to believe Simo was in the game planning room, at least installed in the run game for this particular game plan. And again, you know what I'm saying? People can say all they want to, but you get eyes like myself and Danny, we'll tell you this is not the same game plan. This is not the same offense. It was more focused on the run game than the Washington and Denver game. Like, it was ideally for Chicago, this is the identity. This is the identity. So, and here's the thing. I understand how it goes in the room. Danny, you've been in those rooms with fellow coaches before. You know what I'm saying? Pride, ego, all of that is part of the equation. I always say, to be an OC, you got to be a borderline narcissist because you got 100, 200, 3,000 people in the stands, 60,000, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands that know your job better than you. And if you listen to everybody, you know what I'm saying, then you would need Prozac. But at the same time, you have to get to a level of trust where you trust guys and say, hey, Danny, I'm struggling in the run game. You're my offensive line coach, or you know what I'm saying? Hey, Danny, I need help. You know what I'm saying? Can you take this part for me this week? I'll focus on the pass game. You focus on the run game. Let's meet together. Again, and also working with the head coach that gives you milestones to hit that says, hey, give me 30 runs. You know what I'm saying? 20 plays under center, so on and so forth, right? So I think it's a meshing of the minds. I wouldn't necessarily credit Luke Getsy for this being his offense, but what I will give him credit for it is if he had a come to Jesus moment where he sat with his assistant coaches or position coaches and actually listened to them and actually heard feedback and gave over authority to Simo to install the run game, that's where he gets credit because that's when you start growing and that's when you start seeing team success. Because we always think about the players having to play together and be great teammates and all this other stuff, but we don't think about the coaches. We don't think about, you know what I'm saying, all the egos and personalities that go into that. And I've seen brawls happen in the locker room. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's part of it. So I wouldn't necessarily say it was a Getsy plan. I say it was a more conducive plan to our personnel. However we got there, I don't care because the formula is winning football. And again, if we go back to the rudiments and the fundamentals of it, right? We go to teamwork all around. We go to competition all around. Who cares who the guy behind the center is? If you compete and you earn it, right? If it's a real meritocracy, then we'll by all means bow down and give you the crown and crown you the king of Chicago. But you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things. So yeah, I would pump the brakes on, you know what I'm saying, making Luke Getsy, Kyle Shanahan, you know what I'm saying? But to your point, Aldo, overarching on a macro level, I think it does sit back. It does do Justin good to sit back and at least point to something and say, hey, even if I can't articulate what I would want to do, for him to be able to point to something and say, hey, can we just do a little bit of more of that? That would help me. That would help me ease some of the overthinking, right? Because he doesn't have a problem with the deep balls and, you know, making throws down the field and strike when, you know what I'm saying, under optimal circumstances. It's, hey, what are you looking for here? Oh, okay, I got a point of reference, right? And then we go from there. Sometimes we just need a map.
Yeah, I hear you. Danny, Floor is yours.
2 points, and I'll try to make it as quick as possible. So for Justin, yes, this I agree with you 100%. Although this totally can help him because there's times where things are just coming at you, especially if you're a quarterback in the NFL and you feel like you're just taking in water and you're trying to get your head above water and you feel like you're drowning at times, and all the information, all the pressure, and everything that comes from playing that position. So I think sitting back a week or two and watching this kid run this offense, and the thing, the two things I said coming into the season where I want to see Justin improve is his play clock in his head and also getting rid of the ball quickly out of his hand. And I think that's something that he could probably sit back and say, Tyson Bagent alluded to it here. So in terms of no negative plays, get the ball out of your hands, no negative plays. And that's the thing I've been trying to help on Justin is, all right, have a plan, get rid of the ball. Don't hold on to the football. And I think, again, the quick release, getting the ball into the hands of his playmakers on the outside, letting them make those plays, having the ability to go ahead and distribute the ball to all the receivers, not just locking into your one or two, first, second primary targets. I think hopefully that will kind of open up Justin as he goes back and says, all right, this is how I can run this. I can do this. And obviously Justin's just more, is more talented in terms of physically than Tyson. So I think he can definitely get this ball rolling in the right direction. Second thing is Coach D, I think as much as you and I are going to sit here and preach week in and week out about this being a running team, that the identity on offense is a running offense. We just heard the head coach when he was pressed with a question saying, is your team a running team? I said, well, it could be, it depends on the week, and it could be, we like to be both, and blah, blah, blah. It's got to come from the top, coach. And you know it, I know it, Aldo knows it. It's got to come from the top. He's got to come in and say, hey, we got to run, like you said, run the ball 30 damn times in this game plan. Give me 10, from under center, give me 10 from shotgun, and you have the other 10, whatever you want. But it doesn't come from the head down. And that's why I wish Matt Eberflus could be the defensive coordinator and we have someone else here as a head coach. So, that's one of the things where we were talking about on Buffon 55 in terms of, they brought in a defensive consultant. Maybe they could have brought in a Greg Roman for an offensive consultant, and that way he could help build the run game, and Getsy can go do his pass game stuff. Again, last year when they flipped that offense around and they had those 5 straight weeks of 30+ points, Justin said that they went and they studied the Ravens game plan. They took some of those plays from the Ravens game plan from last year, incorporated it with Justin, and it worked. So that's what you need. If the head coach is not telling you he's a run dominant offense, it's up to the offense coordinator. He's going to go out there and do whatever he wants, the offense coordinator that is, week in and week out. So unfortunately, unless you and I want it, I don't think we're going to get it.
I did like one thing he said, though. He did say something we said prior to his pressure coming on. We mentioned the weather in the city of Chicago and how the city needs a certain type of style of ball. He did recognize that. So I want to give him credit for it. Again, if it's like us coming out of the Washington game, our expectations going into Minnesota game is a huge letdown. Even if and you guys know, I haven't been shy about being focused on this coordinator, right? I want to be excited for the next game and Luke coming in with the same game plan, but I just don't trust the guy.
Nope.
You burned me once already. You gave me Denver, competent football for at least a half. You gave me Washington, a half of good football. Come in all excited for Minnesota. We're going to run it. We're going to run the ball at this blitz because Danny knows, well as I know, when you blitz, if you get knocked out of your gap at least 6 inches for a running back and you leave a gap in that defense, he's going to hit his head on the goalpost. We ran a stinking power read toss where we pulled the guard and tackle from the left side like we were running power. We didn't actually follow them up the hole, but we tossed the ball opposite of the pullers, and there was a hole big enough to drive a semi through. Like, overcoaching yourself. And we'll have weeks like this, and we'll have plays like that, and I'm like, what is this dude doing? Where did we get him from? So that part makes me not want to trust this guy. And to Danny's point, again, it's leadership, which we always question about Coach Eberflus. Do you know how to lead? And Danny said it, I said it. When you have a coach on your staff and you're the head coach, or if you're at an office location, you have an employee, a subordinate that's not hitting the benchmarks, you start laying out breadcrumbs for them to hit. Give me 30 runs. You know what I'm saying? You lay out the breadcrumbs, the milestones and they're still failing, you start going even micromanage. Okay, you sit down. When you didn't do all those things, and I gave you plenty of opportunity, guess what's next? You're getting that pink slip. It's time for you to hit the road, and you know why. Now I can show you. I documented everything, how I tried to help you, and you still didn't get the job done. So guess what? I got to find a guy that can come in and get it done. I really believe Simo had a lot more to do, again, with this game plan than many would lead on to.
All right, we are getting close here to the end of the show. What I'd like to do is just go around and get your final thoughts. I'm going to start with you, Coach T, and if you could, besides sharing your final thoughts about this victory over the Raiders, I'd love for you to promote your show that you have on Sunday's pregame, and also in particular the Thursday show where you get into details about X's and O's.
Yeah, absolutely. So on Tuesday and Thursdays at 4 p.m., we're doing Chicago Bears 360 with Coach T. It's a more long format about the X's and O's, right? That's the niche that I wanted to bring back to YouTube, because then that's where I talk about formations and running concepts, outside zone, inside zones, power gap schemes, counters. I give you my playbook, clues from my playbook. I'm not giving my playbook out, but I give you clues. I'll give you clues from my playbook and how some of these things mean and how we approach game plans and strategize. So that's Tuesdays and Thursday at 4 p.m. And then Sundays, we do a pregame show that's, about general concepts and conjecture and throwing a little bit of conjecture and high level, macro level keys to the games and stuff like that. We try to have a little bit more fun with it. But yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. Excited for a Bears win. Regardless of who's behind center, you always want to see your team win. You always want to see progress. It feels a lot better.
Oh, see, we get him back here because I was going to ask him a follow-up. I want to know what he's sipping out of that liquor cabinet. We lost him last week, right towards the end of the show. He lost complete power. I think that might have happened again. All right, Danny. I know you got a special Buffon 55 coming up this week, but also please share your final thoughts on this game and anything else you want to share.
I think it was obviously a good game for Tyson Bagent. It wasn't, the pressure wasn't put on him. And that's something we talked about, John and I and Alyssa on this past week in terms of, what I thought they should have done is what they did today was rely heavily on the run game, a lot of 12 personnel, and just, build the play, the passing game off of that and give Tyson Bagent some quick game and just build his confidence. I think for the most part, that's what Getsy did. I was on the contrarian. I thought maybe he might get a little crazy and just go out there and just let Bagent throw it, 40 times and say, hey, you know what? If he succeeds, it's my offense. It's the guy pulling the trigger who's causing the problems. If it doesn't, it's a Division II guy. But Getsy did, to his credit, did run the ball. So again, this is something that I would like to see them build on here. Continue doing this. You're going against the Chargers team. It's got some pass rushers there on the edge that if you're not careful could hurt this kid. So let's not do that. You're going on the road, a less hostile environment. So let's go ahead and try and build again his confidence. Getting the ball down the football field is the next step that I want to see them try and do. Bagent come on and said, hey, I got a cannon. I'm not sure why they're not putting me out there in that Hail Mary attempt. So we'll build off of that. Let's go ahead and continue building this kid up. Because if you have two good quarterbacks, like I said, I keep saying it over and over again, then you can stay out of this draft in terms of drafting quarterback, taking another shot or another flyer on these young guys from college, and now you can go ahead and draft some building blocks for this offense. But yeah, in terms of the win, I thought it was a must win. I couldn't see them. If you lose this game, that was totally rock bottom for me because this team is not a real coach team. The Raiders, that is, they have one great player on defense, and that's Max Crosby. Offensively, they have a journeyman who hasn't won a game in, I believe it's 12 years or 12 consecutive starts. He hasn't won a game. Wow. So yeah, so that if you lost this game, that would have been a huge embarrassment for the organization. So they got the win. Now we're back to next week. Now let's see what Getsy pulls up in terms of going up against the Chargers on the road with a rookie quarterback making his second career start.
Yeah, I'm going to share this with you because I know you agree with it. J2K says everyone will find out next week why we should have drafted Thule over Dexter, and I do like Dexter.
That was the guy. That was a guy I liked a lot. I was pounding the table for. It was more of a projection for me. It's kicking him inside in terms of playing a 3 technique. He's a guy that's got a high motor, high energy, heavy hands. He's a guy that get in between the gaps and get upfield and make pressure. They're using him. The Chargers are as a more of an outside stand-up, outside linebacker. So, they had him drop some weight and utilizing his ability that way. But yeah, he's a guy that will provide some pressure, will cause some havoc on that defensive front, along with obviously with Khalil Mack and some of the other guys, Joey Bosa and all the other guys, and playing on a Charger. So,
and on Wednesday night at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, we've got a very special Buffon 55. Besides getting your 5 rants from John Buffon, it's going to be interesting to see what he's got to say after having actually witnessed his second victory of the Bears this season. He is also going to have a special surprise. You want to kind of share that with people, Danny?
Well, it's going to be our Halloween show. It's going to be our show where we're all going to be dressed up. Obviously, we're not giving any breadcrumbs in terms of what we're going to be, but I think people are going to have some laughs once we come on the air on Wednesday night.
That's right. Even I'm going to dress up for that little video that I do that previews the team, and I promise not to go too in depth, Danny. That way, you've got some stuff to share with the audience.
The only thing I'm going to say is I'm not dressing up as the Grim Reaper, which is what Aldo had recommended that I be. I'm not going to be Grim Reaper.
That's right. At least not this week. We'll wait somewhere down the line. Great win for the Chicago Bears. A feel-good win. I know there were a couple of people who said, "Hey, I'm leaving. These guys are too negative and stuff." Hey, we got to talk about reality. We got to, make sure that, we're fans, but these guys are also, when I say these guys, I talk about Coach T and Danny Shimon, they're, professional analysts, and it's their job to talk about the good, the bad, and the not so ugly. And so that's what we do here on this show and on many of the other shows. We've got some, fan-based show. If you want us to just talk about fun stuff, that it's always all positive, then let me recommend to you the Barfly Tailgate Show, the Bear Their Soul Show. Those are more. But when you get Danny Shimon in the room, he wants to share some hardcore football information. The same thing with Coach T, and I really appreciate them for that. That's what we needed today. We need to pump the brakes a little bit. We're not going to the Super Bowl, not this year anyway. But as Danny has been saying, we might have found a solution to improve this roster if by the end of the season we have guys that can potentially be outstanding quarterbacks. We've got 2 guys to potentially be outstanding quarterbacks. That will allow us to pick up a pass rusher, an offensive lineman, and fill some of the other needs that this team has. So let's hope the Panthers go winless this season, or just 1 win, or whatever it is, so that they get the number 1 draft pick, which belongs to us. And then let's hopefully win some games this season and then prepare for a great draft. Danny, you are the absolute best. Anyone you want to give a shout out to?
No, I'm just looking forward to seeing what happens here. Obviously, look forward to the Wednesday show with the Halloween stuff, and then also looking forward to next week. Let's see how they do in terms of getting this kid now prepared to take that next step, and then showing some more of his abilities. Obviously, it was a safe game plan, but let's get a little more creative here. Not too crazy. Still, base it off of the rushing attack, but let's get a little more in terms of getting downfield a little more. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, it's like the 29 pass attempts was an excellent number, but perhaps 2 or 3 of those could have been a little further air yards than the horizontal passing game. But I get what you're saying, and it sounds really good. All right, we've got a full load of programming, Bears programming this week. The best way to stay on top of this stuff is to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll get alerts on your device when we're going live, and I'll try to schedule the programs as quickly as possible because I understand you guys get updates on that. For Coach T, for Danny Shimon, and for John Buffon, who I'm filling in for today, this is Bear Football. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.